game is alright as long as you want to achieve something with it, whether it's leveling up your character, saving from a specific weapon, or finding some research items, or saving for cybertech items, mainly because it's so goddamn expensive. Therefore, realistically, you will always have something to achieve. The flaws, on the other hand, will appear after you have played the game long enough to get bored with it, or you have maxed out everything, which you probably won't do. The problem is, it's not enough content to keep the game alive for such a long time. But realistically speaking, you will always be occupied with something you want to achieve, because they are so goddamn expensive and it will take a long time for you to get it, but when you do get it, it's worth it and it adds something new with the gameplay. The challenge also helps the gameplay, because even if you're maxed out, you will still get your ass handed to you sometime. The only problem with the challenge is that on the hardest difficulty, Ghost difficulty, it's almost a bit ridiculous of how hard it is. Of course, in that difficulty you're supposed to be stealthy, but the problem with that is you don't really get any XP or money for being stealthy in the game. You don't get as much XP for hacking the enemy, being stealthy, not killing enemy, as in just killing them outright. But why is that a bad thing? Well, because the only thing that keeps you playing the game and keeps the flaw not appearing is you wanting to buy those cybertech items or that weapon or research item which you need money and XP for. And you don't get as money XP from hacking them or going stealthy, then just killing them outright, and therefore it kinda destroys the variety itself, the challenge. Although there is a lot of variety in the game, but it doesn't pay off as much as just killing them outright, which, like I said, kind of destroys the whole point with variety. But nevertheless, it's there and it doesn't become a problem until, well, you become bored with the game, which you, like I said, realistically won't get unless you're farming, grinding the living shit out of the game. The story, on the other hand, is mediocre in the way that you will never really get into the story, you will mostly be hooked by the gameplay. It's good in the sense that it's a big mystery in the game, and it's bad in the sense that the mystery will never be solved. Of course, we'll probably be hooked in the story because of the big mystery, but sooner or later you're gonna be bored with it because they never really explain what the mystery is and what is the real answer behind everything. Of course, it's mostly up to you to, decide yourself, but still, come on, you can explain something. But personally, I feel like the story isn't really complete in the game. It is not complete. The gameplay seems complete, and the gameplay got a lot of flaws, and it probably won't fix the flaws. With the story, on the other hand, it seems like it is not done. They begun with the story, they carried it out, but then they forgot something. Or yeah, the end. None of the ending feels like a proper ending to the game. Of course, you can always go with the bullshit, well, you're in an endless cycle and the only way to stop the cycle is stop playing the goddamn game. But still, give me a real fucking ending, not this. Because the moment you think you finally figured out the whole mystery, well, you didn't figure out the whole mystery. And eventually you will get bored with it because there is no answer to the mystery, and the story is still, or what it does, it's alright. It doesn't really do anything necessarily bad. You can't say that it's bad, it doesn't answer it. It's disappointing, but it isn't necessarily bad though. So in the end, the gameplay is alright as long as you have something to achieve, whether it's getting a new item as a weapon or cyber attack, and it's worth it because every time you buy it, it adds a new thing to the gameplay, which keeps the gameplay alive, and also the challenge keeps the gameplay alive. You can even customize the challenge however you want to. So in the end, when the gameplay is like that, you have something to achieve, and every time you buy something, it adds something new with the gameplay. The gameplay is great, even though it's mostly the same shit over and over again. It's great. It's challenging. The game keeps it challenging, and it keeps it something new all the time because you need to buy something. The story is there to back it up sometimes, but in the end, it just dies out eventually. So in the end, I divine Cybermancy. It's a great game, but as soon as you don't have something to achieve with the game, maybe you have maxed out everything, you start to see that it isn't really enough enemies in the game, or weapons, or maps, or powers, or cybertech to keep the game alive so long. You start to see the flaws then, but it will be a long fucking time until that happens. So the biggest flaw with the game is its lack of content, but it's still pretty damn good. It's actually great. So in conclusion, the difficulty is not really a problem. It doesn't really destroy the variety that much. The game has plenty of good ideas and tries to give the player some control along with a little co-op, but a lot of the stuff hasn't really been executed properly and might feel like a mixed bag, but anyway, in the end, it's still a great game.